and welcome. My name is Angela Davis and I'm the Flooring Quilter. And today we're going to talk about 3 quick and easy weekend projects. So stay tuned. These are great little spring, summer projects when sometimes you don't want to get bogged down doing a very large project. Spring and summer, we want to spend as much time outside enjoying the weather. And if you live in Ohio, that's very important, especially since the last 2 weeks we've had off and on sleety rain, hail, that kind of weather. 3 different projects that are wonderful as gifts or for around the house, and something that we can all enjoy and use. And it's a great way to use up scraps or used up fat quarter bundles where you might have 1 or 2 fat quarters left and you're not sure what to coordinate it with or what to do with. So first, I want to talk about tote bags. And the first one I want to show you is just a very small, you can see here, the width is probably, oh gosh, not even 10 inches. The finished width is about 9 inches. And the length, height of it, is about 13.5. So this particular little tote bag that I made out of denim scraps, and I also lined it. This is great to just have a little carry bag on the weekends. If you're going to the park or you're meeting a friend or you're going to the library, something of that nature where you can put a book in it. It's great as a book sleeve. Let me show you one of my vintage books. Perfect. And then I can also fit my phone in a small change purse. If I'm going somewhere to meet coffee, a friend for coffee, going to the park, anything where you don't want to carry your regular weekly purse with you. It's just a great little size, and it's great for a book sleeve as well. So basically, and then this one I made more of a square shape, and I did include a little flap for closure to show the different ways it can be done. And I just did a button closure with 1 buttonhole. And it's, if you have just basic sewing skills, okay, it's mostly straight line sewing. And if you can do a buttonhole on your machine, go ahead and do a buttonhole. And you can add a button for decoration. So basically, this one is probably, about 14 inches. 14 inches by about 12. And each one of these is lined, okay, with 2 handles. And then this one I made specifically for when I go to the store, when I know I'm going to be buying fabric or I know I'm going to be buying batting or supplies, so that it's nice and large and wide opening so that I can fit those types of things. It's nice and wide. Or let's say I want to go to the store and I'm buying non-perishable items such as toiletries, napkins, paper towels, pantry items, crackers, pasta, that sort of thing, non-food items. Food item bags, you want to make sure that you put them in a bag that you have labeled for food items so that you can wash those more frequently, because food items such as meats, eggs, dairy, poultry, that sort of thing, you want to make sure those bags get washed a lot more often because of the type of products you're carrying. But this one is just going to stay in the trunk for dry goods, and when I go to the store to buy fabric or batting, supplies, that sort of thing. This one is approximately 25 inches square with 2 handles that are, I believe, about 32 inches long in length and 2 inches finished. Okay, So let me give you some basic instructions, okay? So let's start with the small one. And I'm going to call this a book sleeve because it's just a great little, you know, it's just a great little, nice little tote. Okay, so what I did was I decided on my width and my length. Okay, and it can be any width and length you want. And I made a front and a matching back. Okay, so what I did was I cut 4 denim strips 2.5 inches, sorry, 2 strips 2.5 inches long of the denim, and then I took my center, which is a floral denim, and I cut that at 7 inches in width. This top panel is 5.5 inches this direction, okay, by my 12.5 inches in width, my 12 inches in width, okay? So basically this top half is going to connect across the top, okay? So you have one long strip, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to fold them in half, right sides together, and just stitch up the sides, okay, to make a little pocket. You're making a little pocket, okay? And then what I did was I took a plain piece of solid, okay, and I just measured the same width as my bag and the length. And I'm using one solid piece, and I made one long rectangle. And at this point, what I did was, I'm not explaining this well, am I? What I did was I folded everything in on itself. Like on this one, I folded it in on itself, and then I top stitched. And part of the video will show that to you. But they're very, very easy to make. And this one was easy because I did not do square corners. Okay, didn't do square corners. And this way, when I put the book in, it slides right in. I can fit my change purse in there. I can fit my phone in there. A little tissue, a couple little tissues, because I always have to have tissues because of my allergies. And my strap, I made a strap 5 inches wide. And I measured how long I wanted it to go over my shoulder. Folded in half, top stitched it down each side, and I just stitched it to the outside. I mean, it's sort of a no-brainer. I mean, I just sort of played around with it. You know how I do things. I decide I want to make something and I don't look up a pattern. I just sort of go as I, you know. I don't know why. Gee, I think I'll make a bag today. Okay, let's just start measuring. But in the video, what I've done here is I wanted this green. I already have this in my stash. It's like a heavy cotton. It's not as heavy as burlap, but I would say it's like a pant material, like a twill. And I knew I wanted to have 2 strips at the top. So what I did was, this is like a lightweight drapery, and this is also like a lightweight drapery fabric. So I decided to measure my width, and I measured the width of my green, and I said, okay, I cut my strip, the width I wanted this way, and then the width this way, and I sewed that on to one side. And then I decided I'm going to make my width 1 inch wider here than here, 1 inch wider than this. And then I measured my width this way and attached that on. Okay, and I did the same for the back. So I had 1 square for the front and 1 square for the back, and I made 2 strips so that I had a front and a back. I put them right sides together and stitched all the way around, okay? Put them right sides together and stitched all the way around. And then what I did was, to make that square corner, I went like this. I took, this is a regular fold. I took this side and I pulled them apart, and I made a triangle like that with this seam down the middle, and I measured in 2 inches and I drew a line, and you stitch, and then you do another stitch real close to it, and then you trim that bulk off. And then when you turn it right side out, it makes that little bottom there. Makes that little square corner. I didn't have to do a square corner on each of these. I didn't have to, because I didn't make them stiff. I made them floppy. But I just felt that since I'm going to be holding, you know, multiple things in it, it might give it a little more room down here, having that square corner, than having a straight fold. But this one, I wanted a straight fold because it's more like a little book sleeve. They're fun to make, and there's lots and lots of tutorials on the internet, okay, to make a basic tote bag. So I just wanted to show you what I did for the straps. I measured 2.5 inches by 35 inches. And I stitched one side on the long length, and now I'm going to press about 1/3 of an inch down on one side with a steam iron. Be careful, the steam is really hot. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. Get that steam down, and then I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to press. And again, ooh, the steam is very, very hot, so please be careful. You don't want to get burned. Just pressing this all the way down. And then what we're going to do is, for the straps, I'm going to stitch right up next to this fold to catch the seam, and then I'm also going to top stitch on this side so that it's a nice, you know, so that the stitching is matched on both sides. And this is just a top stitch to hold down that seam. Okay, once you get to the other side, just cross over and turn. And now this side's already stitched, but we're just going to do a little top stitch just so that it matches the opposite side. Okay, let's trim all these ends off. And there is a strap. And I already did the other strap. Okay. The bag is quite simple. Okay, because this is going to be like a shopping bag for when I buy fabric, or let's say I'm just going to like one of the dollar stores to buy like paper towels and toothpaste and toilet paper, toiletries, no, not food items. Okay, so this is going to be a non-food item shopping bag, okay? So because of that, it's going to be just a nice all-purpose bag, but I wanted it to be a certain size. So this finished size is, again, so almost 23 inches square. So it'll be a good size bag for when I'm buying fabric, or I'm buying batting, or, you know, toiletries. And that way I don't have to always use a store bag. Now, it's a very simple shape, okay? So I just pulled fabric I already had, and then I just measured how much do I want my solid to be, how wide do I want my print to be, and then I wanted my top to be a little bit wider than this one, because it is going to get folded over when I stitch the lining in, okay? Now, there's just one thing I do want to do. I think I might trim the top a little bit, because I think this is a little long. It is, by like an inch. So I'm going to trim the top. Okay. Okay, so I trimmed that by 1 inch. And then my width is a little bit big. It's a little bit big. So I'm going to take it in at the side seam. So I took in the side seams a little bit. And now I'm going to sew the straps on. I want the straps to be about 6 inches from the outside seam. I think that's good. Okay, and I'm just going to do the first side. I'm going to get it under the presser foot. Just going to do 1 stitch across. That's enough. There we go. I'm going to line it up right with the other straps. And do a quick measure. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. There we go. 1 straight stitch across. Now, I'm going to press under all the way around about 1/2 inch. Okay? About 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm pressing under about 1/2 inch. About 1/2 inch. If it's a little more or a little less, that's okay. Okay. Pressing under, get that steam going. Be careful. Steam is so hot. It really is. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the lining. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press under all the way. Like this. Just turning it, pressing. Turn, press, okay? I have the bag here. Okay. And here's my lining. I'm going to fold my lining and put it inside so that there's wrong side to wrong side. I'm going to start on one seam. I'm going to match up those seams. And I'm going to put those seams together like that. Okay. Matching up the folds. See? Matching up those folds. And my lining is going to come just on the inside of the main fabric of the bag. Okay? Now here is I'm going to make sure that that handle is in there really well. Okay. I'm going to go on the other side. Just going to work my way around. Until you get around to the other side. Okay. Now I'm going to start in between. You know what, I'm going to start near a side seam. I think I would prefer doing that. Okay, I'm right there. I'm not back stitching because I'm going to overlap when I come back to the beginning. And then this one, I did do a little flap. Okay, and this one will also hold the book. Let me show you. Because sometimes if I have to go to the doctor's office or, you know, I know I'm going to be sitting around waiting somewhere. It's nice to have a book to read, or sometimes I bring a little book that has word searches in it. I like word searches. So that one's nice too. Okay, that one has the little cute little button. And they're different sizes. And that's what's nice about the totes. I mean, this video isn't about a tutorial. It's just about a couple little weekend projects that you can make for yourself in different sizes depending on what your use is. So first decide, how am I going to use the bag? And that will determine how big you want the bag to be. And then you decide on fabric. And again, this is heavier cotton. This is a heavier cotton. This is a sort of a red denim. This is a drapery fabric. It's a little bit heavier. The denim And then this is almost like tablecloth weight. It's a little bit thicker cotton. So decide on what the function's going to be first, and then determine your size of what size, finished size you want it to be. Lining it is not difficult. Lining is, you're going to cut your lining fabric the exact size of the bag plus the seam allowance. So if your bag has a center, a side, and a top, you want to get all that put together and then measure this with seam allowance and then sew your lining. And then you can insert the lining wrong sides together, and like I showed you in the video on this, you just top stitch all the way around and you enclose the end of your straps. It's not difficult. It's very fun. These take an hour, 2 hours to make. They're a lot of fun. So the next thing I want to show you, which is a fun weekend project, it's also wonderful as gift, like a hostess gift if you've been invited to a luncheon or a dinner, that sort of thing, picnic. It's wonderful as a hostess gift, and it's also wonderful to include in a bridal shower, someone getting married. Homemade coasters. Okay, these are mine. They've been worn lovingly. Okay, you start out with five 5.5 inch squares. You decide which fabric you want for your backing. This is my backing. And which 4 fabrics you want on the front. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your backing, which is one 5.5 inch square. Then you're going to take your other 4 fabrics and you're going to fold them. Each of those 4 fabrics, you're going to fold them in half, right side out, and you're going to press it. And then what you're going to do is, okay, so here's my 4 fabrics. Okay. I've pressed them in half and given them a nice crease, and here's my backing. And what you're going to do is you're just going to lay them so that the raw edge is on the outside of the backing fabric and the fold is on the inside. And you're just going to turn and lay each one down like this so that that raw edge is on the outside. I've got those first 3. And then the last one, remember your fold edge is in the middle, your raw edge is on the outside, and that last one you have to flip the first one over and tuck in the last one like that. Now we're going to pin it, get it lined up. You're going to pin it in a couple different places like this, and you're going to stitch all the way around 1/4 inch, all the way around all 4 sides. You're going to trim the corners, and then you're just going to fold it right side out and press it. And you can make a set of 4, you can make a set of 6. They're a lot of fun to make. You can make them scrappy, you can make them planned, you can color coordinate them depending on your hostess's home, apartment, that sort of thing. They're wonderful, wonderful little coasters, and they're easy and quick, and they're a nice little hostess gift. There it is. So you basically just stitch 1/4 inch all the way around, trim the 4 corners, and then pull it from the middle right side out. Very easy. Nice little gift idea to make. The other weekend project I want to talk to you about is pillows. Pillows are so much fun. And this one has been lovingly used. It's already starting to pill some of the fabric. And this one I did a crazy quilt patchwork, and then the back I used a vintage tablecloth that had some embroidery. So this one, all you have to do is measure your insert from seam to seam. So for example, this insert is 15 inches, okay? So when you make your front of your pillow, you need 16 inches. You need to add an inch for the seam allowance, because on pillows, I like a 1/2 inch seam allowance because they get thrown around and tossed around a lot. So when you make your front, whether you do patchwork, whether you do applique or crazy quilt style like this one, you want to be sure to add a whole inch to your finished size for seam allowance. Once you have the top done, choose your backing, and like I said, I chose a vintage napkin with some embroidery. You're going to stitch like from here to here all the way around, and you're going to leave a gap right here. You're going to leave a gap so that you can stuff your pillow in, and then you're going to hand stitch across. Now my hand stitching, where's my hand? My hand stitching is behind my lace right here, okay? So my hand stitching, I try to hide behind the lace, all right? So I basically machine stitched from here to here all the way around, stuffed my pillow, and then you got to really pin that in place and just hand stitch it in place. Pillows are a great weekend project, and they're wonderful for doing seasonal, changing out your seasons. Spring, summer, fall, winter. It's just a great way to decorate your home and switch out your pillows according to the season and the holidays. So 3 weekend projects, quick and easy, a lot of fun. Tote bag, 3 different sizes depending on what your use is. Coasters, small mug rugs, very simple, easy using the folded method. You need 5 pieces of 5.5 inch cut fabrics using the folded interlocking method, and then toss pillow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been so nice to hear from you all. I had, just as a response to one of my viewers, she asked, what do I use for my design wall? My design wall is nothing more than a flannel back tablecloth. When you open it, okay, it's very important when you hang it to get a comb or a brush and brush that flannel, because the flannel gets matted while it's in the package, and when it's matted, your cotton squares, your patchwork squares won't stick. You have to brush that flannel so it puffs up a little bit, and that way when you put your fabric blocks on your design wall, they stick. When I first put up my design wall, I used painter's tape. I have since taken the painter's tape down, and I now use very small little tack nails to have it in place. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video about the 3 quick and easy weekend projects. Simple, easy tote bag, toss pillows, and coasters. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope you have a great rest of your week. And here's a little hug from Angela.